She stood on my driveway, arms crossed like she owned the whole mountain road. "You can't move in here. This cabin isn't even legal," she snapped, waving a piece of paper that looked like it came out of a cheap printer. I laughed under my breath because I had built every inch of this place with my own hands, and I knew every permit number by heart. Still, she shoved the paper at me like it was the law itself. "I already called the cops," she smirked. "They're on their way to remove you." My stomach dropped for a second. Not because I was scared, but because I knew this woman was insane enough to make life difficult. She thought she had won. She even turned to her little audience, 2 neighbors she had dragged with her, and whispered loud enough for me to hear, "He'll be gone by tonight." Then the sirens came echoing up the dirt road. Karen's grin widened. She pointed at me like a sheriff in an old Western movie. "There! That's him! Arrest him!" she screamed, almost shaking with excitement. My hands curled into fists, but I stayed calm, because what she didn't know was that the men stepping out of the squad car weren't strangers to me at all. One of them smiled the second he saw me, tipped his hat, and said, "Well, if it isn't our guy. Welcome home." Karen froze. Her mouth hung open. She was ready to watch me get dragged away, but instead the officers walked right past her, straight toward me, shaking my hand like I was family.
Karen's voice cracked as she tried to recover. "Wait, what are you doing? He's trespassing. This is HOA property, and he's not allowed here." She shoved the fake notice at the officer's chest, but he didn't even bother looking at it. Instead, he glanced at me and laughed. "She giving you trouble again?" "Again?" I repeated, raising a brow. The cop just shook his head like this wasn't the first time he had dealt with her nonsense. Karen stepped in front of him, practically blocking his way. "Don't you ignore me! This man is breaking the law! You need to take him away, right now!" The officer finally took the paper from her hand, held it up against the sunlight, and smirked. "Ma'am, this isn't even a legal document. It's not from the city, not from the county, not even from a registered HOA. This is just paper." He handed it back like it was garbage. The neighbors behind Karen started shifting uncomfortably, whispering to each other. Karen's face went red, but she doubled down. "He can't stay here. This cabin is not approved, and I already reported his electricity setup. It's unsafe. My kids walk near this place." She looked around for support, but the cops weren't buying it. That's when the second officer, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. He looked her dead in the eye and said, "Ma'am, you do realize you're talking about a decorated veteran who owns this land outright? I suggest you step back before you get into trouble." The air went silent. Karen's smirk vanished. The neighbor's whispers stopped cold, and for the first time, she looked like she wasn't sure she was going to win.
Karen blinked fast, like she didn't hear him right. "Veteran? What are you talking about? He's just some guy building a shack in the woods," she snapped, waving her arms. But the officer didn't flinch. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket and held it up for everyone to see. "This shack sits on land that's been in his name for over 2 years. County records, registered, paid in full." Karen tried to laugh it off, but her voice wavered. "That can't be right. I spoke to the board. They told me no one was allowed to build out here." The neighbors looked at each other, confused, one of them whispering, "Board? What board?" I finally stepped forward, tired of the circus. "There is no board. There is no HOA. You made it up." My voice was calm but sharp enough that even the officers turned to listen. Karen's eyes darted side to side, searching for backup, but no one spoke. That's when she pulled her phone from her pocket and started dialing. "Fine," she said with a crooked smile. "If you won't do your job, I'll get someone who will." The officers exchanged looks but didn't stop her. She pressed the phone to her ear and strutted a few steps away like she was in control again. "Yes, hello," she said loudly. "Send the patrol unit right now. We have an illegal squatter. Arrest him immediately." She locked eyes with me as she said it, like she knew something I didn't. The officer beside me muttered under his breath, "This is about to get messy."
Within minutes, another set of sirens screamed through the trees. Karen straightened up like a queen waiting for her army. A black SUV rolled to a stop, and two men stepped out, not in county uniforms, but in plain black jackets with shiny fake badges clipped to their belts. Karen rushed toward them. "There, that's him," she shouted, pointing at me with shaking hands. "Arrest this man! He's a danger to the community!" The two men looked at me, then at the actual deputies already standing by my side. One of the real officers raised his brow and muttered, "Oh, here we go." "Excuse me," I said, stepping forward. "Who exactly are you supposed to be?" One of the fake cops puffed up his chest. "Private enforcement, contracted through the Homeowners Association. We have authority here." His voice was deep, trying to sound official, but it cracked at the end. The real deputies couldn't hold back their laughter. "Authority?" one of them said. "Buddy, this isn't even HOA land. And even if it was, impersonating law enforcement is a felony." Karen's face turned pale. She tugged on one of the fake cop's sleeves. "Don't listen to them. Just take him out. I'll handle the paperwork later." The silence that followed was thick. The fake cops hesitated, shifting on their feet. My heart pounded, but not from fear. I was waiting, because I knew exactly what was about to happen. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and held it up so everyone could see the red blinking light. "Smile," I said. "You're all on live security feed, and it's streaming straight to the sheriff's office downtown." Karen's jaw dropped. The fake cops froze. And then, just as if on cue, the radio on the deputy's belt crackled, "Sheriff on loot, ETA 2 minutes."
Karen's confidence snapped like glass. No, this isn't how it's supposed to go," she whispered, pacing in small, frantic steps. The fake officers tried to back toward their SUV, but the real deputies stepped in front of them. "Nobody's leaving," one said firmly, hand resting on his holster. Karen spun back to me, her voice shrill. "You set me up! You tricked me! This whole cabin thing, it's a scam!" She grabbed the bogus notice from her purse and waved it wildly in the air. "He doesn't belong here! He's dangerous!" I didn't have to answer because the sound of tires crunching gravel filled the air. A larger patrol truck rolled up, dust swirling behind it. When the door swung open, out stepped a sheriff himself, broad-shouldered, calm, the kind of presence that silences a crowd without saying a word. Karen's face went sheet white. She stammered, "Sheriff, thank God you're here. These men aren't doing their jobs. This squatter, he's trespassing on HOA land." The sheriff tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle piece that didn't fit anywhere. Then he turned his eyes on me and broke into the kind of grin only an old friend gives. "Haven't seen you since the academy," he said, shaking my hand with a strong grip. "Didn't know you were finally settling down here." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The deputies smirked, the fake cops dropped their tough guy act, and Karen, she looked like the ground had just disappeared beneath her feet. "You, academy?" she muttered. The sheriff didn't even look at her when he answered. "That's right, he's one of ours, decorated veteran, trained with my unit, and last I checked, he owns this entire ridge." Karen's lips trembled. That can't be true." The sheriff finally turned his gaze on her, cold and steady. "Ma'am, I think you've got some explaining to do."